What's up, everybody? Isaiah Livers is out for the rest of the regular season, but the injury bug has hit the Wizards for tomorrow night's game against the Golden State Warriors. But we're going to do a preview anyways. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again with my guy, the real Ed Oliver. And we appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. And tonight we're going to talk about Isaiah Livers is out for the remainder of the regular season. The injury bug has hit the Wizards, so we're going to look at the haves and the have-nots for tomorrow night's game against the Golden State Warriors in DC, and we're going to do a preview for tomorrow night's game. So let's get into it. Now, Isaiah Livers has been declared out for the regular season due to his hip injury that just hasn't gotten better. So I guess the question is, how much do you think the Wizards knew about his injury before the trade from Detroit? And what is his outlook for next season?
Yeah, it's tough. Of course, they do a physical, before the trade and whatnot. He's got to pass that physical. So it's unfortunate. They probably knew that there was some type of injury, but I know he suited up a couple games, barely played. I'm going to look and see how many games he even got in. And but he was really in street clothes for the most part. I think the point of the trade, of course, was really just, moving on from Gallo and Muscala and getting Bagley in the 2 second-round picks. And Livers. So Livers, he was hurt as well before with the Pistons. I'm looking at some of the stuff with the Pistons too, where there was an injury, so they knew there was a risk with taking him, but it's kind of like where it doesn't really hurt them bringing him on the team. Honestly, I think they still won the trade. Even if Livers doesn't even play a game, they still won the trade.
Yeah,
with getting Bagley and 2 second-round picks just to move off of Muscala and Gallo when they were buyout candidates. I thought they both were going to be bought out, and nobody was going to trade for those guys. So even if Livers doesn't even touch the floor for the Wizards at all and doesn't play at all, then it's really not, no disrespect to Isaiah Livers. I think he's a solid player, but if he doesn't touch the floor, it's kind of like, they still got the better of that trade, in my opinion, by far.
Yeah.
He played in 23 games this year with Detroit. He hasn't played a game at all. I'm looking at the stats now. He hasn't played a game at all. He started 6 games for the Pistons as well, 5 points a game. So I thought he actually got in a little bit with us. I thought he played in some garbage time, but he hasn't even done that for the Wizards so far. So they're just going to wait to see what he does next year. I do want to look at his contract as well. But the thing with Livers, when we got him, I was like, is he going to get more playing time than Johnny? And that just hasn't been the case because of injury. But so I wish him a speedy recovery. And he's on a 3-year deal right now, just to see when his contract ends. Looking right now, he's actually a free agent this all season. Yeah. So, we'll see what happens with him. I mean, I don't mind them coming back. I don't mind them, of course, bringing him back. Of course, I mean, he's making $1 million this year. He's a restricted free agent. His qualifying offer of $2 million, basically $2.2 million coming up this offseason. So, I mean, they may bring him back. We'll see, but I wouldn't be surprised whatever they decide to do. They can bring him back on a flyer, like a 1 or 2 year deal or something like that, just as a developmental player. So I'm not sure how much they knew, but of course they knew there were some lingering injuries. But I think the point of the trade was to really just get Bagley, get the 2 second-round picks, and move off from Muscala and Gallo.
Yeah, I think that they should definitely bring him back. I'm gonna give you a couple of reasons why. He mentioned himself that one thing he wanted to do in DC is play to his strengths, be more of a 3-and-D guy. Detroit really didn't play him to his strengths. Obviously, people hit him in the depth chart, so he didn't really get the exposure that he needed. Obviously, dealing with the injury bug He's a restricted free agent, so we definitely can match any offer the other teams make for him if we give him a qualifying offer. So I think we definitely need to bring him back 1 to 2 years on the cheap, because I think that he's a guy who could play. Second reason is that his familiarity with Jordan Poole. We're trying to get Jordan Poole right. Having a guy that he was his roommate at the University of Michigan, a guy who obviously are friends, having a friend on the roster. I think it'd be a good thing for Jordan Poole, having a guy who you're familiar with in the city with him, because look, right now we're trying to get Jordan Poole right, and the biggest thing is trying to find ways to get him comfortable. I think that bringing Livers back and giving Livers that exposure to play, and then the relationship with Jordan Poole, I think those are two factors why we need to bring him back on the cheap, because he's a young guy, man, who I think can play. Now, obviously, the injury bug, and I think that you're right. Even if he doesn't play, Marvin Bagley was definitely the prized possession of this move, and for good reason, because Marvin Bagley's been playing good basketball. But Isaiah Livers, man, he's got potential. He does. And with us in the midst of a rebuild, I have no problem them bringing him back on the cheap to get exposure and get that playing minutes. Because like I said, if we can put him in a 3D role, because he's in the buck, in my opinion, he's an average defender. He can shoot, he can spread the floor. Got things to work on, but he's a young guy. And again, I mean, he's got that relationship with Jordan Poole. And that's a big reason. If we're trying to get Jordan Poole right, get him comfortable, try to get him to turn that corner and be that guy that really showcase himself as a consistent offensive threat. I think having a guy that is a friend of his, and I know some people are going to hit me like, oh, we don't need his friend. But, it's the thing, man. I mean, but who's both sides to get him right? And I think Isaiah Livers would be a good move, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, it's not really a minus or a hit because he wasn't playing anyways. But I would be lying if I didn't say that I was intrigued to see what he could do. So it's definitely kind of a letdown because you don't know what you have in him yet. And you got to wait till next year if indeed he comes back. But obviously, in a minute, we're going to talk about the injuries, but the injury bug is hit, man. So obviously, it's time for players like Johnny Davis, Eugene Marui, Jared Butler to get those significant minutes, man. So, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it wasn't really a letdown because he didn't play. But I'm holding out hope they bring him back because I think he can be an asset for the team going forward.
Yeah, I think he's a talented player, 6'7", 230 pounds. I forgot about the whole Michigan connection with Jordan Poole. I did forget about that. He I think he's a solid 3-point shooter. Shot 42% his rookie year, 36% his second year, and then he fell off. Not fell off, but his shooting percentage went down. His third season, which was this season, 28% from the three. So
yeah,
I think he's another guy that you can use to develop. I do like the signing of RJ Hampton. He's on the go-go now. Justin Champagne, he has 21 points in the first quarter for the go-go team. They got Hamidou Diallo. So they got some young guys that they have in their developmental program that I am, intrigued to see play more and get some playing time in the future.
Yeah, same here, man. Like I said, they have definitely stocked up the Cap City Go-Go with a lot of talent, man. And they know what they're doing over there at Cap City Go-Go, man. So they definitely have shown in the past that when we need them to step up and play those significant minutes in the event of injury, they've been able to do so. So a lot of depth, and that's a good thing for this team going forward, finishing up the season. So we're going to move on to the injury bug has hit the Wizards. So who is out for tomorrow night? And then we're going to fly into the preview for tomorrow night's game. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Nissan. So are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? I am. Ever wondered what adventure could be around the next corner? I do. Our friends at Nissan have the lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. Now, there are 3 great choices, but I'm going to focus on one tonight. I mean, obviously, you have the 2024 Nissan Rogue, the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder, and the 2024 Nissan Armada. But I'm going to roll with the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder, my favorite, your favorite, everybody's favorite. Has room up to 8 people, an expansive cargo capacity, and advanced available 4x4 capability, which is big, especially living in areas in the mountains, East Coast, the Midwest, with 284 horsepower and up to 6,000 pounds of towing. When adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. So take the Nissan Rogue, the Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada, and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. And Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and a free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts at Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So tomorrow night, like I said it and say it again, the injury bug has hit, man. And looking at tomorrow night, 4 guys who could be sniffly or who could be out. Landry Shamet is day-to-day dealing with a neck strain. Denny Avia day-to-day with that heel injury. Corey Kispert day-to-day with an illness, non-COVID injury or illness. And Bilal Koulibaly, pelvis injury. If you saw him try to posterize in that fall, man, look, he needs a night off. So definitely have no problem with that. So I guess the question for you is, how does this affect the team go forward? Obviously, they're not going to win many games. But who are you looking to pick up the slack, pick up those minutes?
I'm gonna say I want to see Johnny get more playing time and play well. I really do. I'm rooting for him. But I think Jordan Poole, man, once again, if Denny doesn't play where he's questionable, we'll see what happens with him. And Corey Kispert may be out with illness. Landry Shamet's questionable. Bilal might be out again or is out. They already announced that. It's just like, once again, that bench unit, Jordan Poole is just going to have, of course, the greenest of green lights. Once again, it's a revenge game against the Warriors. I know we're going to preview it more a little bit later. But and then Jared Butler's a guy, too.
Yeah.
That played pretty well the other night when they lost to the Cavs.
Yeah.
A really nice alley-oop to Rashawn Holmes, got to the basket. Didn't score much, didn't really fill up the stat sheet much, but, I thought he did a good job handling the ball, not turning the ball over, kind of just orchestrating things, hockey passes, getting guys open, stuff like that. I thought he did a good job of that and putting a little bit of pressure on the defense. So I do want to see more of him and see him get more playing time. I think with some guys being out, he'll have that chance. Of course, Tyus is still healthy. So I think he'll be the backup point guard for sure, coming off the bench, playing with Jordan Poole as the backup shooting guard. But Jordan Poole and also Jared Butler are 2 guys that I'm looking at to step up with guys being out. We need those guys to have a good game to really stay competitive against the Warriors. And Chris Paul, they announced that he's going to be available for tomorrow too. So we will see the 2 guys that got traded for Jordan Poole versus Chris Paul tomorrow. Should be a fun matchup.
Yeah, we'll see if Chris Paul gets his own little tribute video. He was here for like a cup of coffee, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'll get a State Farm video as well.
Oh man, maybe he'll power walk around the ring.
Right, yeah, there you go.
I mean, I'm with you. I think the 4 guys I'm really looking at to step up and really see what they can do is number 1, Jared Butler. I'm very intrigued to see what he can do. Obviously, Johnny Davis, even though he's been getting minutes last couple of games, he's still a work in progress, man. I mean, the shot needs work, and it's just year 2 for your 10th overall pick, just not a good sign. But I want to see him take that step. So let's see if he takes that step against Golden State at home. Eugene Emery, man, I want to see what he can do, man, because that dog needs to be on the court, man. He's that dog that every team needs. And Patrick Baldwin Jr., former team, man. I want to see him contribute in other ways outside of shooting 3-pointers. Obviously, I want to see his 3-point shot, but let's see who's getting him some minutes because looking at the potential injury. Denny being out, who do you put at forward? Maybe Patrick Baldwin Jr., Landry Shamet, Corey Kispert, Bilal. So, you're probably looking at Johnny Davis starting and Jared Butler being the point guard for the second unit as a 6th man. So, look, I hate to say this and it's all due respect, but we're probably going to lose it anyways, man. So, really, this is the type of game where it's going to be hard to watch, but this is really going to be about watching these young guys play, how they can do against competition like the Golden State Warriors, because we're not going to win the game. But the biggest win out of this game is seeing what Emery can do. What can Jared Butler do? Because those are 2 guys that we often don't talk enough about, but I think could be part of the future because I love what I saw from them. And especially, you mentioned earlier the Cap City Go-Go. Diallo's a guy that I wouldn't mind seeing long-term. We have a lot of young guys, man. So I think that, this is not necessarily a bad game. You don't want guys being out with injury or illness. Definitely prayers go out to, Corey Kispert, man, because, there's always something going around now, man, COVID and everything. So definitely hope he recovers. But there's a good time for these young guys to eat and see what we have in them, man, because evaluation is the name of the game for the next couple of years. So I definitely want to see what you have in these young guys we have in the Go-Go and on the roster for the Wizards.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Jared Butler, Giallo, if he can get some playing time down the stretch too. I really want to see Champagne play.
Yeah.
Once again, Johnny, can he stay out of foul trouble? He's going to be guarding Klay Thompson. Sometimes he'll be guarding Steph. So I know it's going to be a tall task doing that for sure. So he's just got to be smart out there keep your hands off players. You cannot be physical. Unfortunately, in today's game, you just can't be super physical with guys. So he has to learn that, and just play with confidence out there too. That's one big thing for him. His confidence. Clearly, he just doesn't look confident out there when he's shooting the basketball. That's the big thing I want to look for from him. I did like the mid-range shot that he shot against the Orlando Magic, where he made the shot. Keep doing things like that, things that he's comfortable with. That's what he was comfortable with doing at Wisconsin. I know it's a totally different game in the NBA, but try to set him up for success and get him in some situations where he feels comfortable and he can be successful. So that's what I'm looking forward to. If Brian Keefe can do that for him, but yeah, he's got to play with confidence, and he hasn't really done that much. And 5 fouls in the third quarter is just inexcusable, and that's on him. And that's just inexcusable. You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to capitalize on the minutes he's given. Definitely. I mean, a lot of people come to his aid because he's a young player. And yeah, he probably hasn't been given the best situation as far as development. Especially, I go back to this all the time, man. I thought that they failed him when they tried to make him a point guard. He's not a point guard. When they try to make him a three-point shooter and mess with his shot, I didn't think there was anything wrong with the mechanics of his shot at Wisconsin and even his first year in the league. So he's got some things to work on, man. But at this point, you're year 2, hitting into year 3. Your 10th overall pick is not making an impact on this team. And it's just, I mean, really, where do you go from here? I don't see them eyeing him as a long-term piece because I don't see the priority as far as minutes given to him, allotted to him. So, I mean, but then again, on the flip side of the coin, man, he's got to take advantage of these opportunities, man, because when he's on the floor, I mean, all due respect, man, but he's looked pretty bad. I mean, to the point where other teams are laughing at you, man. And I hate to see a young man go through that, man, because, man, that's a hit on confidence, man. I mean, his confidence is taking a hit. So we got to try to find the best situation for him to get that confidence back. And we really got to see what we can do for Johnny going forward, man, because he may not be here next year, man, because and it's really tough to see where the priority is given to him as far as him being a long-term piece here. So we're going to move on, man. I mean,
that was a good point about Johnny. Other teams, unfortunately, laughing at him when he's shooting the ball and, making jokes when he's shooting the ball and he's missing it badly off the backboard. Those are things he's got to get through. He's got to get through with his confidence and have that mental toughness to bounce back from those situations for sure. And, I mean, that's just going to be – and like you said, the regime, we've said this a bunch of times, clearly they just look like they're not invested in developing him. They didn't really want to play him until now, really towards the last part of the season. So they didn't draft him. They're just like, and they see him in practice every day too. They're trying to work with him, but maybe he's not playing well in practice either. To the point where they're like, we're just not going to play you because we haven't seen things in practice either. But we know he's a hard worker. He's trying. That's one thing that I will never question with Johnny Davis is his work ethic. We know he has a high motor. He's a hard-working guy. That's one thing that I really like about him is his effort and work ethic. But just his game translating to the NBA, it just certainly hasn't done that as much as we wanted to. Yes, him being the 10th pick is definitely, if he doesn't pan out, then it sets the team back. It sets the franchise back, whether they drafted him or not. It definitely sets the rebuild back. It makes it longer when guys don't pan out. And, everybody develops differently, but honestly, it just looks like it may not work out here in DC for Johnny Davis.
Yeah, I mean, and I get your point about it kind of extending, but to a certain degree, it may not be the worst thing. I mean, like I said, it's tough to say that. It kind of hear me out. It's like, as far as his development, I definitely want to see him succeed. But look, we're talking about the 10th overall pick. I mean, his name 25th and ain't the 28th. This is a guy that's a top 10 draft pick. So, sooner or later, they got to make the decision and say, look, we just missed that pick and we cut sling bait, and move on. Because right now you got to focus on Blau. You got Denny who's developing. He's got that contract. But the priority has to be other players to a certain degree because they know what's working and what's not. Corey Kispert and Denny, they look like they're pieces for the future. Obviously Bilal is, man. And Johnny Davis is just, how long do you still work with him? And like I said, as two people that are big fans of his work ethic and him personally, you want to say forever, man. But, sooner or later, you got to cut Slingalow, man. And with Johnny Davis, it's unfortunate because there's so many factors. You can point at the organization, you can point at him. It comes down to this: he's got to perform when given the minutes. And once he's given minutes, the excuses go out the window. And like I said, confidence is a big hit, man, because like I said, you getting laughed at the free throw line and you shoot a 3-pointer and people laughing at you. It's unfortunate to see a young man go through that, man. But on the flip side too, let's be real. Look, there's been a lot harder talking NBA, man. And look, the NBA, they're gonna come at you, they're gonna talk some stuff. So that's one thing, like you said, E, that I want to see him kind of combat with, man, as a young man dealing with that. Because look, they're gonna talk junk. It's the NBA. They're gonna talk junk, man. And so, your confidence shouldn't hit, the bottom of the barrel after one comment. He's got to learn to deal with the rigors of the NBA, man, and trash talk is one of them. So, yeah, I'm definitely holding out hope, and hopefully he gets that start, and we'll see what he's cooking with, man. So,
I got another thing to say too. Yeah. Looking at some of the other drafts too, like some other teams that miss on picks. You look at the Hornets, James Bouknight, they waived him.
Yeah,
I don't want to see it get to that point with Johnny, but it may get to that point where they just waive him, because we talked about trading him or him being involved in a trade, and another team may just not want you.
Yeah,
and that may be the case with Johnny and James Bouknight. I thought he was very talented coming out. Kai Jones, even though he was a later pick, he was the 19th pick of the draft. Even though there were some other off the court things, the Hornets had to waive him too. So there's certain Uzma Garuba. I don't think he's with the Rockets anymore. I'm looking at the 2021 draft. There's already guys that are just not even on their teams anymore. The teams just cut bait with. Josh Primo for the Spurs. They moved on from him. To Chris Duarte got traded from the Pacers. So there's a lot of, even though he's had a pretty good, solid career for the most part here and there, a little inconsistent, but he's had a solid career. But yeah, you look at the Hornets drafts. They just missed on picks, and they just decided, hey, we got to move on. We got a guy in Brandon Miller who's playing well. We got other guys that we're looking to develop, and I think that may just happen with this regime. Unfortunately, we'll see. Like I said, I'm not going to write the ship or write Johnny off, but I'm just looking at different situations where the Hornets had to move on, and other teams have certainly moved on from their draft picks. Even the first pick of the draft, James Wiseman. Look at the Warriors. They just moved on from him and traded. It's a totally different situation, because they have championship aspirations. We're a team that is not even close to making the playoffs, so it's more similar to the Hornets. But I really am rooting for Johnny, man. I want to see him succeed. I really do.
Yeah, I'm saying here, I really do. But on the flip side, it's like you got to hit a point where you got to go ahead and take your L as an organization to move on, man, because your 10th overall pick is barely scratching for minutes in your rotation in year 2. So, like I said, James Bouknight, because I'm with you, man. Come out of UConn, I thought James Bouknight was a heck of a talent, man. And the fact that they waived him, Kai Jones. So, right now, after the season, maybe that's the best decision. Maybe he gets an opportunity somewhere else. We'll see, man. But I'm definitely holding out hope that he can figure it out, man. So, we're going to move into the preview. Before we do, you got anything to cover?
No, I'm going to get into BetterHelp. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest, big or small. Certain things can really start to get to you, and so it's important to let that out, especially as someone who's unbiased on your life. So today I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing this week. So it could even be a sporting event or your sports team. They're really letting you down. They're frustrating you, just like this Wizards season. We know it's a rebuilding year. But it's frustrating seeing the team get blown out after game after game after game, and it can be frustrating. You just need to talk about it. You need to come on the show and chat with us, or talk to somebody on BetterHelp as well, just to help you cope with different times. And there's a lot of emotions involved in sports, a lot of emotions involved with being a fan of a team, for sure. So BetterHelp can definitely help you cope. Spending all that time and effort into being a fan. Therapy can be different for everyone as well. Most of us have bigger problems than just your favorite sports team, and it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suitable to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
All right. BetterHelp, baby. All right, let's get this preview, man. So tomorrow night we have the Golden State Warriors visiting Capital One. So looking at the roster real quick, obviously we're dealing with the injury bug, but they got kind of an up and down roster. Stephen Curry has been doing his thing, obviously, but Brandon Podziemski has been playing good basketball, man. Same thing with Jonathan Kuminga, man, with given minutes. And Andrew Wiggins is kind of on the up and up. He struggled this year. So, I mean, looking at their depth chart, obviously they're playing Draymond Green at the 5. So he's a little undersized. So that could be definitely a time for Marvin Bagley to eat. But what players are you looking at to kind of eat against the Golden State Warriors? Where do you see the strengths for this team?
Oh, Jordan Poole, of course. And then I'm sorry to bring up Johnny Davis again, too. But
yeah,
you look at Killian Hayes. The Pistons, they gave Killian Hayes a couple of years just to see what he could do. They brought in a new coach and Monty Williams. Killian Hayes was his 7th pick of the draft, and honestly, Killian Hayes has shown a little bit more than I'm not gonna say a little bit more, but he's shown more than Johnny because he's actually gotten real playing time and minutes. Killian Hayes was getting 24 minutes a game this year. He was averaging 6 points a game. 5 assists, 3 rebounds. So he's shown that he is capable of being impactful, but he just didn't shoot the ball well. He just wasn't able to score. But I'm just giving you guys another example of where they just cut bait. But that was after 4 years. Johnny's in year 2, and they may just cut bait and waive him. But to get back to the game, of course, I'm looking at Jordan Poole, man. I gotta look at Jordan Poole. This is another game. Whereas against his former team, we know the history with him and Draymond and the whole thing, the whole situation in the video, and then him being traded for Chris Paul as well. But Steph Curry and Clay have said nothing but good things about him, about how much he works, his work ethic, and how hard he works. He went to the G League, developed for a couple of games, came back. How the story, of course, seeing him help them win a championship. Putting up 31 points against the Grizzlies, and he has some really big games for them. So, of course, there's that history there. I think he's going to be super, super motivated. He's definitely going to want to put up another 30 ball against the Warriors for sure. So I'm definitely looking at him. I think that's the easy guy to look at. But other guys, certainly looking at Bagley, certainly looking at Jared Butler and Tyus Jones going up against Steph. I mean, nobody can stop Steph. Steph's going to get his. But I want to see how those guys guard Steph, how they go up against him, and Klay Thompson, and then with Bilal being out, we've been talking about Johnny a lot. I do want to see how Johnny plays against Klay and Steph and some of those guys for sure. So I want to see how he plays against a championship caliber team. I'm interested to see how he plays and bounces back because Steph can get him in foul trouble. If he got in foul trouble against Max Strus and the Cavs, then Steph Curry can definitely get him in early foul trouble. So I want to see him be smart on the defensive side of the ball.
There are 3 guys I'm looking at outside of the young guys who obviously need some minutes to eat. Number 1, Marvin Bagley. I think this is definitely his time to eat against Draymond. Draymond's a dog, but he's got that size advantage, man. I want to see him definitely eat in the paint against Draymond because they're playing Draymond at the 5, unless they make it, a late change to Kevon Looney. But I think in both situations, Marvin Bagley, he's in a favorable position. Kyle Kuzma, 6'10" frame against a 6'7" power forward. Jonathan Kuminga is a good defender, man, but the size disadvantage compared to Kyle Kuzma. I think this is definitely a game where Kyle Kuzma needs to drive the lane more. I've complained a lot this year about his shot selection, him being, too reliant on that jump shot, and I see a lot more people starting to say things about it. He's got to stop settling for those jump shots. Use your frame, man. Drive the lane. Get them in foul trouble. Get to the charity strike. That's what I want to see from Kyle Kuzma. Don't, rely on that 3-point shot so heavily. Use that 6'10" frame and really use that advantage against a 6'7" Jonathan Kuminga. And obviously Jordan Poole, man. This is what I want to see. Turn that corner. I made a post on X, Twitter, aka, whatever you want to call it. I said, look, time to turn that corner. Turn that corner. Against your former team, you're on your home court. Look, drop a 40-piece. I challenge you. Drop a 50-piece, please. I want to see him come out with some fire, get the crowd involved, man. I want to see him take that crowd back, man. People saying F Jordan Poole, people being, look, take him back, man. Make people believers again, because we all know that you have the talent and you got that. You have all the talent in the world to make that step to an all-star, man. Definitely you've been dealing a lot of the mental side of it, but I want to see Jordan Poole come out and rock the Warriors, man, in my opinion. Obviously, they are the favorable team in this situation, but I want to see him go out and and really play a good game against the Warriors, man, because obviously it's a former team. And I mean, look, that the last performance was good, but I need more. I want to see him turn a corner officially, man, and be that 20 plus a point game score that we know he can be. So yeah, those are the three players I'm looking at. Now, obviously, when I say young guys eat, I want to see Eugene more involved, Jared Butler more involved, Patrick Baldwin Jr. Maybe they make a move or two from the go-go. Maybe see Diallo. We'll see Champagne. That's another guy that I haven't talked a lot about. He's talented. I mean, I'm intrigued about him a little because of his size and his makeup. He's a guy that I'm definitely looking at too. So yeah, I'm not gonna do a prediction, but those are the guys I'm looking at to kind of eat. I think it's gonna be a Warriors win, but I'm think it's gonna be a closer win. I think they're gonna fight hard because I think that him playing against his former team, him trying to win back a lot of the fan base, man, he's gonna play hard against his former team, man. So
yeah, I would really want to see Eugene versus Draymond, two very physical guys, two guys that definitely get feisty for sure, going up against each other. They have similar builds, so I do want to see Eugene against Draymond, and Bagley should have a good game. They don't really have a guy that can really stop other bigs. Bigs usually have good games against the Warriors. As you see, I mean, block shots isn't everything, but the Warriors, they're not a good rim protecting team. They're 27th in blocks right now. Defensively, they're okay. They're 21st in points given up. Right now, they are 18th in defensive rating, which is below average. Right now, but of course, they're obviously a great 3-point shooting team. 6th in 3-point percentage because of Steph and Clay. And those guys, they're 5th in assists right now, too. They really move the ball. I mean, we know what the Warriors do, but yeah, I want to see them attack the paint and now rebound them for sure. Right now, the Warriors are second in total rebounding, so they are a good rebounding team. Looney's a good rebounder. Draymond's a good rebounder. Wiggins is a good rebounder as well. Kuminga is a guy we got to look out for as well. He's super athletic. He's had some good games. He was complaining about playing time out there too. So that's a guy that's going to be that he probably will give the Wizards some problems tomorrow night as well. But yeah, like you said, Eugene, Johnny, those guys they got to step up. Jared Butler, he's going to have a tough matchup with Steph defensively, but I want to see him facilitate and get the ball to Rashawn Holmes and Bagley and Kuzma. Kuzma's got to step up. He's got to have a big game, like you said, get downhill, get to the basket, not settling for three. So I think it will be a close game. I think it's going to be a close loss. It's going to come down to the clutch. It's just going to come down to decision-making by Jordan Poole and Kuzma and their shot selection down the stretch.
Yep, I agree on all points, Z. So we're going to go ahead and roll, y'all. Again, tomorrow night, the Washington Wizards will be playing against the Golden State Warriors at 7 o'clock. So definitely watching on Monumental Sports Network and giving your support and try to get this dub, even though it's going to be a hard-fought loss. But definitely show your support, man, because it's a young team that are on the rise. So again, definitely appreciate everybody. Wherever you get your podcast, as 5-star review is much appreciated on the YouTube side. Like, subscribe, definitely comment below. What do you guys think about Isaiah Livers? Should he come back next year? Are you intrigued to see what he can do? Or have you seen enough and it's time to move on? So definitely rock with us. So, hey, man, appreciate you guys again. We was, matter of fact, tomorrow we will be releasing a mailbag episode at around noon. So definitely watch that and show us the support on that. And we will see you guys tomorrow night for a live recap of the Warriors game. So again, appreciate you guys. We will see you guys tomorrow night. Definitely check out the mailbag at noon. And hey, appreciate you guys rocking with us, man. So hail to the Wizards and peace. See you guys tomorrow night. Take care, y'all.